Here they come, 18 of NASCAR's best, ready to roll, and the green flag is out. The Busch Clash is underway. Ryan Newman edges ahead off 2.
Wow, look at Martin Truex Jr. getting a huge run to the outside of Ryan Newman. I think he got such a huge push from behind from Aric Almirola, and already we're seeing 3 wide further back in the pack. He had nowhere to go with that. He was either going to go through Newman or to the outside of him.
Lap 1 to Roush Fenway Racing and Ryan Newman.
And look who's coming through the middle lane there. Denny Hamlin already has picked off, what, 4 or 5 positions.
Hamlin from 18th up to 11th in number 11.
Now watch him just get the runs, get the momentum, and take it wherever he can. When he sees an opportunity, one of the things I like what Denny does on these types of racetracks is he doesn't let it stall out.
Truex could not bring that outside line up even with Newman. Sits back there at 4th place on the outside.
Yeah, well, I tell you, he's not sitting in any place, and that's Denny Hamlin again making another move, gets a good push from his teammate Erik Jones from behind, and goes right to the outside of Ryan Newman. Or sorry.
Hamlin's made it halfway through the field. He's to 10th.
Yeah, and look at how that move all of a sudden slowed the inside lane down and moved and shifted the momentum to that outside lane.
Even Steven for the lead off 2.
Now you got 5 cars lined up on the inside. Look at all these cars nose to tail stacked up on one another, and all that momentum is going to push those first 2 to the lead.
Truex, Keselowski, looking back from Keselowski at Boyer.
Already seeing some good pushes that are happening, but we've seen where some of these bumpers do not line up very well and will easily get some of these cars out of shape.
Look at those speeds, Jeff. 204 in the draft.
Wow. Wow. We knew it was going to be fast based on what we saw yesterday, Mike, but that's even surpassed the fastest speeds we saw yesterday. Kyle Busch decides, I'm abandoning ship here in this inside lane. It's going nowhere. And so does William Byron. He moves right up in front of him, takes that hole.
That'll leave just Newman and Almirola on the inside.
What that does is spells trouble. Those guys are going to probably go all the way back. Maybe they can slide into that one gap that's about 5 or 6 cars back from there. Already your biggest movers. Denny Hamlin up 11 spots. Joey Logano up 8.
Newman found a spot in line. That leaves just Almirola on the bottom, and as you said, headed only one way.
Now I heard something I never heard yesterday, and that was somebody lifting. That tells you what this draft is doing right now. That's a big rear spoiler in the back of these cars. Punches a huge hole. There's Almirola all the way to the back. Now he's got to make sure he doesn't lose the draft. I really believe these cars are punching a big enough hole. He should be able to latch right onto that final car back there.
But he was at an 8-mile-per-hour deficit to that outside lane as they streamed by him.
Well, that's the one downside to this package is when you're in the draft, you can't lose the draft. But when you're the only car that gets shoved out or in that lane, there's a good chance that you're going a long way back and could you lose the draft. Already Martin Truex Jr. taking him to the high line. You know, that high line, it's interesting because usually when they take that high line, it forces those behind that are a little bit content. Right now, you know, if you're second, third, fourth, you're pretty content to be in that top 5. You've got a shot at it. You know that you still have quite a few laps to go. But look at Denny Hamlin, one of those guys, never content. Boy, he almost turned that car around sideways. The unfortunate side here, the gap did not open up for him. He was hoping he was going to drag that 22 of Logano back, create an opening, then slide in it. And unfortunately, that did not happen.
It's got a little help there from Byron, but maybe a little too late.
Well, yeah, I think William decided, hey, maybe I can get down there to help Denny Hamlin out, but then that hole went away. Now here's the run. He comes up on the back bumper, tries to side draft. So that car actually was pretty stable. I thought he got loose. He actually just made an evasive move to try to side draft the 22 to pull him back to hopefully open that spot up.
New leader in the Busch Clash, Brad Keselowski. The problem with being the leader at Daytona is the leader cleans the track for everyone. And look at the grill of Martin Truex from the lead. He had to drop back because the grill opening got filled up with debris and he started overheating.
Yeah, and he knew that he just had to get back and get behind a car, maybe his teammate like what's in front of him, Denny Hamlin, and hope that as he gets closer to that car, the turbulent air will start to clean that grill off. We didn't see any steam pumping out, so that I think that he's good. I don't think that it ever got so hot that he's going to have an engine failure here.
So now it's 4 Fords at the front.
But the nice thing for Denny Hamlin, now he's got a helper in his teammate Martin Truex Jr.
Larry, that's just one of the perils of being the leader here.
Well, the biggest friend you have from an aerodynamic standpoint at Daytona is tape on that nose. The more tape you have on it, the faster straightaway speed, and it actually helps the grip of the front tires. The downside, if you get any debris, then you run a chance of overheating, but you want to run as much tape as you possibly can.
Well, we're already seeing here Brad Keselowski, who's our new leader. He's already picked up some debris on his grill also.
Now Martin Truex has dropped back to 10th place. Matt.
And his spotter, Clayton Hughes, went to the spotter of Denny Hamlin, and they worked together so they could try to get that debris off the nose. It climbed to 293, but it's coming down now.
All the Chevrolets are at the back and on the inside, having their own intramural race, while the Toyotas and the Fords fight it out up front.
Yeah, 293. I mean, you start getting to 300, that's when you start to get into catastrophic territory. Well, we talked about those Chevrolets, how they started lining up on that inside lane. Now look what you have up front. 4 Fords, 3 Toyotas. I feel like these guys, they're going to control this race for a little bit. A little surprised that that row on the inside, led by William Byron, is not able to get any closer or get to the inside of this row on the outside. Vince?
Well, Clint Boyer running in that second position, working with the same spotter, Brett Griffin, but remember, a new crew chief this year. But you can tell that they're always thinking, as Boyer came on the radio and asked who was behind Harvick. That's Harvick right behind Boyer. He wanted to know who was behind Harvick, a couple of drivers to 3 drivers back. Always keeping in mind, if he pulls out to go for the lead, who might be back there to go with him, to help him? What's the scenario behind him where he can't see? And he was thinking and asking, maybe plotting for a move.
And the answer was Joey Logano, followed by Eric Jones. Coming around to complete 19 laps in the Busch Clash. We expect a caution, NASCAR has told the drivers this morning at their drivers meeting, at lap 25, should we stay green until then. 7 Chevys on the inside and the back. The 19 of Truex has now dropped back with them. So the field is pretty much split in 2. Everybody wondering why.
Anybody know why they're not running the top behind the draft?
We just got word when it started they were going to go to the back. I think they're just trying to stay out of a mess. They're going to do something different than everybody here at the break.
And I want to bring in Jamie McMurray on this and talk strategy, because it's very clear to me, Jamie, that they're purposefully staying back. Like they're going to play a strategy game here, that they don't want anybody else to be able to know what they're going to do or be able to react to what they may do coming to that caution.
Yeah, I mean, clearly if the 24 wanted to run down that pack in front, he would not be running on the bottom of the track when they're running the top. So he's kind of keeping that gap, and you can see all the Chevys are lined up together. So clearly they have an agenda, and I know we heard someone say earlier that there were no rules by Chevy, but they have a plan, and we're going to find out what it is here in just a few laps.
We sure are.
Well, Denny Hamlin wasn't part of that plan. He dropped down to make a pass, and now he has lost the lead draft.
Yeah, and Jamie, let's talk about Denny Hamlin too. We saw he made that side draft move going into the corner on the 22 of Joey Logano. Didn't make it work, but he's continued to try to work that. What is he doing there?
Well, he's learning, right? And the one trick that you can do is when you're towards the back of one of these 10 or 12 car single car lines, those guys are having to lift a little bit. And if you can time it out that the car in front of you is lifting on the entry of the corner, when you pull down off of their rear bumper, it will get that car loose. And at the moment that happens, it'll gap the car in front of him, and you hope you can slide up in front of him. I saw him do that a couple of times. It took about 15 laps, it looked like, before the handling of the car started going away, and that's when Denny was able to make that move work. But as I watch him kind of move around in the pack, I think he's just learning right now, trying to figure out what he's going to have at the end.
And I am starting to see some cars lose some handling. We're starting to see that accordion effect, and these cars start getting really close to one another, especially in that top lane. I'm seeing some cars get a little bit out of control.
Yeah, you know, every year you come down here and you go out in that first practice and you're like, drive's good, drive's great, and then you get 15 laps into one of these races and it all changes on you. But clearly, when you're in the dirtier air, yeah, I saw a couple of guys get loose off of the exit of turn 4. So hopefully they can make some changes to get the car better. But, I mean, Jeff, you know as well as anyone, it's hard to get your car to handle better at a Daytona or Talladega type track.
All right, Larry Mack, going to have the car getting loose off the corner here. Kyle Busch.
Woo, you could see him putting the input into the steering wheel.
Reels it
trying
back
to keep
in.
it off the wall.
So are we going to see pit stops before we see the caution flag?
Well, we heard the conversation on the radio about maybe the Chevrolet team's doing something different. We do know that caution is going to come at lap 25. Now, if you come prior to 25, Mike and Jeff, you still have to make another stop. But what could be a scenario is come at lap 24, get your 4 tires and fuel, you'll stay on the lead lap, stay out at the break, and then when the window opens, headed toward the end of the race, you pit for fuel only. I think we'll see some varying strategies here.
Yeah, and what we've been told by NASCAR is that once every lead lap car goes by the start-finish line, that's when they'll throw the caution. They may be on pit road.
Well, here we are at lap 24.
Well,
and nobody headed for pit road. Eric Jones got way up close to the wall. Watch the 20.
Ooh, yeah, you see where the 20 of Eric Jones almost tried to squeeze to the outside of Ryan Blaney. Ooh, they make a little bit of contact there. That was almost tragic for both of those two.
So working lap 25.
Now you see the hands out the window. Here they come.
So we may have cars pitting coming to the caution flag, which will wave once the field cycles through the start-finish line.
They have to make it to pit road, though, and go past that green-red light before they throw the caution.
Well, they did the exact opposite of what we all thought. All the Fords and Toyotas are on pit road. Chevy stayed out.
Vince.
The 14 of Clint Bowyer, it's going to be 4 tires and gas. He's given no issues or said that he has no issues. They did make a little bit of a chassis adjustment, though, on the 14 of Bowyer, Matt.
And Brad Keselowski is in. He said that he was dragging the back of the car for the first lap, but it wasn't bad after that. Meanwhile, the 11 of Denny Hamlin's away. Chris Gabehart's crew chief told the spotter, let me know if you see him slide the tires on entry. That just opened up his strategy.
8 cars stayed on the racetrack. 10 pitted, and we are under caution, as NASCAR indicated would happen at lap 25 if there was not a caution before then. We're back under green.
And remember that guy that started on the back row, Denny Hamlin? Look where he is, all the way at the front.
Keselowski, Hamlin. Now Bowyer leading the outside.
Yeah, Keselowski, he knows he's got to block the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He's just so strong. He gets these huge runs. Got to keep him behind me. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold off this run, though. And there he goes to the lead.
Jeff, these cars look a lot more stable than they did in practice yesterday.
They do, but I don't know. Look right there. You saw Brad Keselowski getting the push from the 14 car of Clint Boyer, and I thought that car got a little bit out of control. So I think as this goes on and we see the second half of this race, I think you're going to see some handling become an issue.
And it's a bit of a windy day. Some drivers talking about that, like Jimmy Johnson.
But I feel like the wind is probably the biggest deal because it's pretty inconsistent. Consistently, though, if I'm right center of the car in front of me, I'm in kind of a dead spot there, and I have a low rear grip. But occasionally through four with the wind, it'll just pivot real hard, so the other car is going to fight that as well.
Yep. Keselowski, Boyer on the outside. And they'll be first to the line this time with Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Blaney.
Yeah, it's so hard because you can't see the wind, right? But when you're inside that car, you feel every gust, every bit of directional change of the wind, and it can make a big difference on how that car handles or what kind of a move or aggressive move you can make.
3 Fords on the outside, and now 4 Toyotas on the inside, and Truex goes upstairs with the 18 of Kyle Busch.
That's why I always like watching Denny Hamlin in these types of races. He's just never content to be riding. He's always trying to make a move. And I mean, it's entertaining certainly to watch, but it's also just the mentality that he has. He has got a lot of confidence in a fast race car. Right now he's got his teammate behind him in Eric Jones, but I think that just allows him to make some moves that really seem to work out for him, and maybe the confidence of those moves working out in the past.
We were on NASCAR Race Hub yesterday, and they asked me, is there anybody today you could compare to Junior Johnson? I said, Denny Hamlin. If he has the car under him, he will find a way to get to the front.
Yeah, no doubt. I tell you, Clint Boyer's in a great position right here. In second place behind Brad Keselowski. I mean, I think he's in a great position. He has his teammate Kevin Harvick right behind him. So if this thing comes down to the end and they can stay in that position like that, he's got a great helper and can get a big run to maybe pass for the lead. Jamie?
Yeah, I've been watching Clint, and even early on in the race, he seems to be one of the more aggressive guys pushing. And I watched him with the 2 car. The 2 got a little squirrely in the trial when he started, but Clint gave him a little bit of push in the straightaway, and then the next lap he actually pushed him all the way into turn 1 and around turn 2. And I feel like he's just kind of testing the waters to not only see how aggressive he can be, but how in control Brad can stay of his car.
And Jamie, we've talked about how these bumpers line up so good on the Fords. They can push more aggressively than anybody else out there.
Yeah, for sure, with the flattest nose. And those guys, they do such a good job of, it's not bump drafting. It's more of kind of easing up to the guy and just barely getting on his bumper and then accelerating. And once you break that 6-inch barrier between the bumpers, it's almost like you get sucked into them. And then once that happens, you can throttle down and really stay on their bumpers.
Single file at 36 laps from Brad Keselowski on back. Let's have a look at Jimmy Johnson's heart rate on that last restart.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I've been so interested in watching. You see it's at 90 beats per minute. Now he's going up through the gears side by side. You're watching your mirror, not wanting to miss a shift, wanting to get in the right lane, and you can just see how it starts to creep up there. I mean, he went from 90 already, climbing up to 100. So to me, that's what's fascinating about this. It's not necessarily that we're going to see here at Daytona a huge heart rate and your max heart rate, but we're going to see it climb and go up and go down depending on the things and the action that's happening around you.
By the way, his resting heart rate is less than half that, about 39, 40 beats per minute.
Man, that just shows the fitness level that Jimmy Johnson has.
Single file to complete 41 laps, and the strategy is beginning to unfold as deduced by our Purdue graduate engineer, Ryan Newman.
we're about 4 laps short here. We think the Chevys are trying to go for it. They're saving quite a bit of fuel.
Is it mathematically possible?
You can save, yeah, I mean, 0.3 miles per gallon from where we were that first run.
I'll give you 3 laps here, see what you say.
So what they know, so they have all the mapping of the fuel flow from that engine. They know from the SMT data that goes to the team's boxes how much throttle position they're actually running. So they can calculate, they can see these other drivers saving fuel. Now what they'll do is they'll let Ryan Newman try to save fuel and see if it's going to make a difference.
So why has Joey Logano just stepped out of line? He is alone on the inside and drifting back.
I'm guessing one of two things: debris or he's saving fuel.
Well, may not be the only one. Side by side just ahead of him, Kyle Larson, telemetry.
Well, and one thing we can be assured of, our leader, Brad Keselowski, and really those 4 behind him that seem to be pulling away, they're not saving fuel right now.
Logano's fallen all the way to the back, and now it's coming forward again on the inside.
Maybe it was just debris.
Little test session here, Vince.
Well, Clint Boyer, you guys talking about the debris. Clint Boyer, one of those, one of many that have expressed their concern about how much debris is on the track. And then Kurt Busch just radioed in and he said the track is really getting greasy and much freer. So between that and the debris, it's making it a little interesting. It's a bit of a handful.
Well, it often happens here at Daytona. The late afternoon sun keeps beating down on this racetrack. But Jeff, you're going 195 miles an hour. How do you save fuel?
Well, and if the track is getting greasy, that makes it easy because that means the cars are sliding around. You're going to lift off the throttle, which isn't going to use as much fuel. But when you're in this line of cars towards the back, you're cutting through the air using the draft. It's pretty easy to run sometimes a quarter of the throttle percentage to just stay into that draft. You don't have to use 100% throttle, of the throttle position.
All right, Larry Mack, I know your calculator's cooking. Can anybody make it without stopping?
Well, let's start with the top 7 right now, which is Fords and Toyota drivers. They pitted with 50 laps to go. I safely say they cannot make it. That's the reason they're up there up front, not saving fuel. But when I look at the Chevrolet camp, all those that came and topped off with 46 to go, if they're saving any fuel at all, no question, that is their plan, is to try to make it, and I think they can.
I think this just goes to show you, these teams, the crew chiefs, engineers, drivers, they look at any possible way that's going to give them the best shot to win a race, any race. This race included is important for them to win. If they think strategy is going to be their best shot at winning it, they'll go for it. If it means you drive to the front like Denny Hamlin's been wanting to do, or Brad Keselowski out front, then you do that strategy.
All building your book for the Daytona 500. Up front, maybe a lead change here. Keselowski under fire from the inside. Here come the Toyotas, Kyle Busch and Martin Truex.
Yeah, Kyle Busch has a friend in his teammate Martin Truex Jr. that's willing to go with him. Don't know if maybe the two starting to have some handling issues. Kyle Busch maybe saw that, but he's going to be in a little bit of trouble here, both of those Toyotas, because there's 3 Fords in that outside lane.
5 cars under a blanket off turn 4.
Little debris. Look at that lead car, Brad Keselowski. Oh, here comes the pit stop. Now we know why Kyle Busch went to the inside.
Kyle Busch on pit road with Truex, Hamlin, Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney
and Eric Jones.
You're not going to outsmart me.
Vince.
The 12 of Ryan Blaney, as you guys would anticipate, it's just fuel only, just enough gas to get him to the end. Matt?
And Eric Jones has gone past his pit box. He has to back up. The 11 and the 19 have already serviced their cars as well, losing a lot of time, and they're drafting buddies here with the 20.
Oh, close call because his tire changer was already around in front of the car. Here's a look at Eric Jones sliding through.
And this is one of the reasons it's so important to be in this race. I mean, you're not just testing on the track what the car's capable of doing. You're trying to hit your marks into the pit stall to get tuned up for next week. So that might be the end of his race here, but it might be something that helps him in the 500. Vince?
It's really important for the 14. Don't slide the tires because it's gas only. Don't want to do any damage to him getting into the box. Well done by Clint Boyer, Matt.
Quick stops up and down pit road. Everybody going fuel only, easy in and out of their box for the Fords.
5 Fords coming to pit road at lap 47. That leaves the Chevrolets, 5 of them out in front. Byron, Larson, Elliott, Bowman, and Kurt Busch. Then the Ford of Joey Logano and the Chevys of Dillon and Johnson.
The only problem with their strategy now is they don't have the draft working in front of them to save the fuel they were saving. Can they save enough being in this smaller pack to actually make it to the end?
Big crunch of cars entering turn number 3 as everybody jockeys for position after coming off of pit road and back up to speed.
Well, the strategy certainly worked for the Toyotas by being able to go by the Fords and Brad Keselowski, who was our leader, and now you've got the 3 Toyotas not in the lead yet, but ahead of those guys that they were racing at the time.
Hamlin 9th, Kyle Busch 10th, and Truex 11th. In position to assume the lead if that first group of cars comes to pit road. It'll be 25 laps to go when they come back to the line. Now, William Byron was the race leader as we went to break. He was told, you can't save gas out front, you've got to work your way back.
And we talked about it. He was out front leading. There's no way you can save enough fuel there. Let's hear what he said on the radio.
Say on him how much you need him to regulate saving, Chad, because he's out front with no gain. Okay, we're going to have to roll back to mid-pack there a little bit. To the top here, get it towards the middle to back.
So what are we seeing now with these Chevrolets?
Yeah, so that's Tab Boyd and Chad Knaus talking about it. Now you're starting to see it's almost, these are the guys that think, hey, we can make it on fuel. We've got tires. We're going for the win here if those guys can't make it all the way. But it looks like a little Tour de France action, trying to jockey for position and who wants to cut through the air and who wants to draft for those other guys that are leading.
Vince?
Hey, you know, back to that William Byron radio you guys had, they were hoping that Byron could slot in the 4th position in front of the 88, his teammate Alex Bowman, but they did not get the message to the 88 team quickly enough, so Byron had to go all the way to the back of the line. Kyle Larson didn't want to lead the pack either because that takes up too much fuel, so he went to the back as well.
And you can see the telemetry down there. This is Kyle Larson's telemetry. He's not using full throttle. That's 55–60% throttle right there. So these guys are all working hard to try to save fuel.
And Jeff, look at the stopwatch. This group here is 1.3 seconds a lap faster than the leaders.
Yeah, and they're not saving any fuel. And I got to give Brad Keselowski a lot of credit. Here's full throttle on the telemetry of these drivers. Brad Keselowski was at the back of this pack, and he maneuvered his way through some pretty aggressive driving to get to the front. These guys think they're racing for the win.
Well, look, as I'm watching this, guys, I think that even if the Chevys can't make it, or if they catch the Chevys, they want to be at the front of this pack because they think that's going to be the winner. But this is killing their speed to run side by side like this, and no one is content to ride line. I thought it was just a couple of guys, but it seems like whoever's leading is getting passed right now. So, yeah, these guys think that they're clearly racing for the win, and the Chevy guys, if they get caught, I mean, I don't feel like they're going to be able to run wide open when this pack catches them. So I don't know. I don't think the Chevy strategy is going to work out for them. Jeff, do you?
Well, I don't know, but I can tell you, as much as these guys are dicing up behind them, there might be a caution that comes out and changes all that strategy.
We are 1 short on fuel the way you are now, but with a cycling through, it's probably going to be worse.
That's Kurt Busch in the 1 car. This group is 1.3 seconds slower than the Ford Toyota group with they're 16 seconds back with 19 laps to go. These fellas here are in trouble.
They're hoping these guys are racing a lot behind them, Matt.
Jeff, fuel conversation on the Team Penske radio of Keselowski. They're telling him about the Chevy's plan. Meanwhile, we already heard about the 6 of Newman. He's running 60% throttle, but the 22 of Logano, he asked if they run with the Chevys, if they're going to be able to make it running where he is. They said, no, we're going to be at least a lap or 2 short at this juncture.
I think with that many laps to go, if you can run 50% throttle, which we see Joey Logano's having to run more than that by being that second car in line, I think you can make it. But you can gain that one lap. Now that's 2.5 miles. That's a lot of fuel to try to save. The only way you're going to do that is to be at the back of this pack.
You might get there, Jeff, but with the speed that other group is coming, I don't think you're going to get there first.
Well, and they've been listening right to their crew chief and their spotter, and look at them now. They're in line. They're gaining in a hurry.
18, now 17 laps to go. 15 laps to go. The tale of two strategies in Daytona. On your left, look at Joey Logano running 60% throttle at the head of this group that is trying to stretch their fuel mileage. His Penske teammate Brad Keselowski trying to pull that second train right up with the first and take over the lead.
They've been closing 2 seconds a lap. I mean, these guys are saving a lot of fuel, but once these cars get there, they're going to have to go wide open. They're going to have to try to block that run. But look how much faster that group is coming. Not only are they running wide open, but they've got more cars in there. These guys are really just sitting ducks right now.
Matt?
TJ Majors, the spotter for Joey Logano, told Joey that Paul Wolfe said that if he wants to drop to the back of that pack and run with the 9 to try to save some more fuel, he can. And Joey replied, I don't know what I want to do at this point.
I think it's too late for that, because now the pack is won. Here comes Keselowski slicing to the bottom and bringing those Fords and Toyotas with him.
Yeah, all you can do is, if you feel like you can run wide open and make it, you got to get down and block this lane, slow down their momentum, which is easier said than done. You see Jimmy Johnson did exactly that, moved down in front of Brad Keselowski. Now he's going to get the push.
Dillon to the outside of Logano. Logano trying to hold the bottom, and Austin Dillon to the outside and on the gas.
Yeah, but you can see that outside lane is broken up. That inside lane is going to prevail because they're just more organized, except for Clint Bowyer that decides to go 3 wide.
Bowyer just ahead of Kyle Larson, the black car.
Woo. See Brad Keselowski all over the rear bumper of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. And that sort of broke up that inside lane. Now the outside lane's starting to materialize a little bit better and get more organized. Boy, Brad he is super aggressive in the pushing that's happening right now.
12 to go. And now it's all about who has enough fuel to finish.
Well, one of my biggest fears would be you've got Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson, Austin Dillon. We know they're low on fuel. The last thing you want for your Brad Keselowski is for them to run out of fuel right in front of you leading this pack.
Harvick threads the needle 3 wide.
Huge run through the middle, down to the bottom. He'll go back up to the middle, if I had to guess, to get behind Denny Hamlin.
Folks, you're looking at what could be the racing in the finish of the Daytona 500.
Well, this went from being 2 groups strung out, some trying to run it on a fuel mileage race, to we're 3 wide and it's wild and crazy coming off of turn 4.
Toyota's right up the middle with 10 laps to go.
And now it's just, did those guys save enough? I just don't know if they did. I just don't see how they could have possibly saved enough to make it an extra lap or 2.
Jamie, with the EFI, if these cars run out of fuel pressure, do they cough? Do they just shut off? Do they sputter? What?
Well, most of the cars have a reserve fuel switch in it, so the guys know about a lap ahead of time when it's going to run out, so they'll feel it sputter, but turn that up.
And
sorry, James.
Kyle Busch almost saved it. He collects Logano, and he's in the wall with Keselowski.
Yeah, you saw Joey Logano trying to keep Kyle Busch behind him, tried to block him, and Kyle went to the inside, and I think they made a little bit of contact and around, or which really just ultimately created this mess.
It's the first incident caution of the Busch Clash.
Well, as
takes out 3 of the heavyweights.
And as we talked about, now you don't have to worry about fuel mileage. So here's a big push coming from teammate Denny Hamlin. Kyle's got a huge run, gets right to the rear bumper of Joey Logano, and you can see as he pops out. I mean, I don't know if the air turned Joey a little bit or they made contact first, but around went Joey Logano.
With 9 laps to go, the Busch Clash at Daytona is under caution for this. Chris Gabart, the crew chief, would rather walk to victory lane than the care center. Oh! Ryan Newman came down and everybody behind piles up.
I saw a lot of rear tire spin on that restart. I think a lot of guys were struggling with grip and they just started losing control.
Three drivers made it out in front unscathed: Hamlin, Almirola, and Blaney. So you're going to watch Ryan Newman on this replay as we try to figure out what happened. He's the second car on the outside.
Maybe it could have been contact. Could have been contact from the 24 and that nose on that Camaro of William Byron as he gets to the rear bumper of Ryan Newman.
And it looked like he had been hit by the 4 of Kevin Harvick, which may have sent him into Newman.
He was already, you could see William Byron was already out of shape as Kevin Harvick made contact with the 24. Boy, it wasn't much. It's interesting how, you know, he touches the 6, he starts spinning the wheels, losing control. Then the 24 starts losing control and gets hit. I don't even know if he got hit. I think he just lost it.
Spun the tires?
Yeah, I think when he made a little contact with the 6, then he jumped in the gas and started losing the rear grip and spinning the rear tires. Certainly no wheel spin there on Jimmy Johnson. He had plenty of grip. Unfortunately, yeah, he didn't make too much contact. He might be all right.
Yeah, Byron's 24 just slews sideways, but so did the 6 of Newman.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. How much contact was there between those two to cause both of those cars to start losing grip in the rear tires?
Man, guys, the strangest thing about that is we don't typically see that at Daytona, but it just looks like it's all the outside lane. We heard Jimmy accelerate, no wheel spin at all, but Ryan and William Byron, like, it's crazy the amount of wheel spin that those guys had. It just seems like it's in the outside lane.
Track crew out looking at the tri-oval surface as 9 cars are under repair on pit road.
Well, you know, and the only other thing I would say is the further back you are, you're still in less banking. That might cause those rear tires to spin, where those guys up there in the first 2 rows, a lot easier. You're on the higher banking, so when you go to accelerate, there's less load on those tires that's going to grip them.
It should be obvious, but we're going to overtime.
I had a pretty strong feeling we were going to do that anyway. I just didn't think it was going to be before we got to the start-finish line on the restart.
No kidding. Kyle Larson pulls away. Still only 2 cars out of the race, and that's Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski from the previous incident. Green-white checker. If the leader takes the white flag under green, the next flag, be it yellow or checker, will end the race. Green flag. 2 to go.
Everybody away clean that time.
Chase Elliott with a push on Denny Hamlin on the outside. Almirola has a little help from Blaney.
Big push coming from Chase Elliott to the rear bumper. Denny Hamlin. Whoa, almost turns Denny Hamlin.
Almost turned him again.
Man, this is wild back here on the back straightaway. Got Bowyer giving a big,
Hamlin
Denny
around.
goes around. I bet that fender caused that right rear tire to go down. Logano in it again. This one's going to take the 48 of Jimmy Johnson out this time. Well, we got one, maybe two cars that just crossed the line that might be left in this race. Wow.
2.5. And about 3 more coming. Oh, my. Back straight away.
Huge push coming from Clint Bowyer and Joey Logano to the rear bumper of Chase Elliott. Sends the 11, Denny Hamlin, into turn 3. Watch this car just go around. You know that that's a tire that went down. Had to be.
Hamlin has said on the radio he lost the right rear.
Well, and he was afraid of that. That's what that conversation between him and his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, they're worried about that tire rub.
Here we go. Green-white checker, overtime again.
I really don't think Chase Elliott's counting himself out of this at all, even though he had to come in, lose some track position. Now we saw on that last restart, if you can get locked into the rear bumper of that car in front of you, you can really get them shoved out there and get a big run. That outside lane's materializing pretty good. Big run. Chase Elliott, trying to get to the outside of the 42 at Kyle Larson.
Whoa, down to the bottom and they touch.
Oh, another wreck. Goodness gracious.
Now look at Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin is 2 laps down. Don't tell me he can't win it.
Yeah, I think he just got one of them back.
And we did not get to the white flag under green, so we'll rack them, stack them, and try it again.
Holy cow. Let's get Bowyer back on the radio. Tell him he's still got a shot. Oh, man. So here we go down the back straightaway. You see the 9 of Chase Elliott all over the rear bumper of Kyle Larson. He tries to squeeze to the outside of him, but Larson does a good job blocking him. Now Larson realizes he's going to go to the inside. This is almost similar to what happened between Joey Logano and Kyle Busch earlier. He tried to go to the inside. They just make contact and they both go around. Pretty wild there. You could tell Kyle Larson, he knew exactly what Chase Elliott was going to do. He knew he was going to try to go the inside, and he tried to anticipate that block, and then they just both made contact.
Chase Elliott's radio.
Yep. Sorry about that. Sorry for what? Doing it, man. It's good.
Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, cheering on Chase Elliott. Say, man, you were going for the win.
So we started the race with 7 onboard Fox cameras. We have this one left.
I didn't think we were going to have this one left after that crash. How in the world is this car still going forward in one piece? After just getting in a pretty heavy wreck, it looks pretty good.
Chase hands off his helmet to one of the emergency responders, and we'll climb out. Denny Hamlin got the free pass.
Only one more to go.
Let's try it again. Green, white, checker.
Tremendous push from Clint Bowyer to get Austin Dillon out front cleanly. Now he's got control. Now all he has to do is watch what kind of run comes from behind. Can he put a block without causing a huge wreck. Look at Newman with the crossover move. That was a fantastic move by Ryan Newman. Big run coming to the outside by Eric Jones.
You can't block 3 lanes.
No, he's getting a huge push from Kyle Larson. Now Larson to the inside.
Jones's car is damaged, and Larson slips ahead. If they take the white flag under green, oh please, then the next flag will end the race.
3 wide.
Look at the speed Jones has with that car all bent up, and it's Newman at the white flag.
That's incredible. I mean, how did Larson pass all those cars and now fall all the way back to the end?
Last lap.
Denny Hamlin, big push to his teammate Eric Jones.
Do you want to lead here, or do you want to be second?
Well, all day long, I didn't want to be in the field as much as they were wrecking. But I really think, look at this run coming from Eric Jones.
3
now
wide.
3 to the inside, 3 wide.
Jones with the most damaged car in the race. He's in the front.
Now can Denny Hamlin,
Dillon slipped up high.
is Denny Hamlin going to make a move on him and still try to win this race? Doesn't look like it. He's going to push his teammate to the win.
Eric Jones is going to win the Busch Clash with a car that's ready for the dumpster.
I just think Denny could have pulled out maybe a few feet sooner. Oh, that's right. He's down lap. So he's helping his teammate win this race. Didn't have a shot at the win.
Unbelievable.
That's some teamwork. Boy, it's good to have a teammate out there that can help you out in that situation.
Ryan Newman got some damage. His car was smoking. He fell off pace. Austin Dillon slipped way up high in turn number 4. And the gates were open for Denny Hamlin to push Eric Jones to victory.
That was a crazy race.
Coach Gibbs will go to victory lane for the 9th time in the Clash, more than any other car owner in the event's history.
Man, I don't even know how that hood stayed in place. You want to know why those teams work so hard on pit road, if it's under red, to try to make those repairs? This is why, because you still got to finish this race with the checkered flag waving.
Left side looks fine.
Yeah, looks like a brand new car.
Byron, Michigan's Eric Jones, one of that new generation of NASCAR stars, is going to get the first NASCAR checkered flag of this speed week. Here's Matt.
Well, the nose looks more like it had a bad night at Kalamazoo Speedway. How would you even describe this day?
Well, it's not one I would have thought we'd won. It was an awesome race. I got to give a huge thanks to Denny there in the 11. He stuck with us there that whole last lap, and this thing wasn't the fastest car I don't think left in the race, but we brought it home, so I owe him one for that one for sure. Really cool though. I mean, Busch Clash, first year back to win that feels good. And with Sport Clips again, these guys have been really loyal to me the last few years, so it's cool to get them another win, and hopefully next Sunday we cap off another one right here.
That restart of the one before, could you even have a game plan with so few cars left?
Well, I was hoping I could get pushed in the 6 and get up front, and then hopefully, the Denny was going to help us, and that didn't exactly work out. Everybody was slicing with that few of cars, and he just locked on, and we stuck together. I think, honestly, my car was so draggy, it wasn't too much for him to stay connected, and he was able to push us home. So feels good. Started off with a win. It's a really cool race, one that I grew up watching, and then have it back with its original namesake feels pretty good.
Just checking off boxes. A firecracker, now a Busch Clash here at Daytona, Vince.
And his teammate, Denny Hamlin, that pushed him to victory lane. I know it's not a win, but you seem pretty darn happy like you were, like you did something today.
Yeah, so awesome. I mean, I knew he needed to strap in because that last lap I was going to push him. I didn't care if I was going to push him into a wreck. I was just going to push him. It was fun. I mean, my car was so fast. Proud of the effort there. Glad we got a good team win. I mean, that's all I could really do at the end is push him to victory. So
I want to take a look at this car too. And how did it feel to drive? I mean, that couldn't have been very drivable at those speeds.
I had 8 wheels. I had 4 in front of me. I had 4 on me. So I mean, when we linked up, it was fast. I mean, it was unbelievable. The thing is, I had his damaged race car to cover up all all the damage to mine, so it just worked. But it's another fast Camry. There's 2 fast Camrys on that last lap there. So happy with the whole FedEx team for not quitting there and trying to get the race finished and got us the team win.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.